Good morning. You are joining us at our breakfast table, and today's topic, yet again, is stress management. So the past few days have been not pretty for me. I have felt really overwhelmed and grumbly and off. I've not enjoyed it. I know my family hasn't enjoyed it, and I don't want to keep going this way. So what we're doing today is walking through this stress management worksheet that I shared in my blog this past Monday. So you probably want to get that out and follow along, or you can reference my blog at tommymom.wordpress.com after this video. So I have my little worksheet out, and I have a bunch of little people that you just have to see. This is what I'm working with here, folks. It's 8:30 a.m. Hey children, I need to finish this video, so could you please go outside? Thank you. Juju, thank you. We'll try this again. So surprisingly, I've been feeling stressed. My particular symptoms have been sleep. Okay, take two. This is just all so appropriate. Okay, so I was walking through my symptoms. My symptoms have been sleeplessness. I've been grinding my teeth at night. I have had irregular eating where I'm either forgetting to eat or eating too much or things that aren't good for me. I've been feeling that air hunger, and air hunger is when you can't get a satisfying deep breath in. You take a breath, but it feels like it stops short somehow. And that's typically my first symptom that I'm stressed. The next question is potential physical and emotional triggers. Well, for me, I know that my family is in the middle of a lot of transitions. My husband. Would you believe it's been 7 hours since that last take? We have gone to church. We've had a lovely lunch with family. I had a lovely glass of sangria, and Judah picked me a flower, no doubt from someone else's yard. And now I'm going to have another crack at walking us through this stress management worksheet. And I'm so glad you get to experience this in real time with me. So hopefully you have this sheet in front of you. The first set of questions involve the symptoms of stress, and there's a slew of symptoms related to stress, from headaches and upset stomach, loss of appetite, elevated blood pressure, chest pain, irritability, depression, anxiety, sweaty palms, confusion. The list goes on and on. But what's important is to start to think about what your symptoms are. So for me, my current symptoms were the sleeplessness, the irregular eating, the grinding my teeth, and the air hunger. And I've been able to watch those for enough years now to know what they mean for my body. They really are the red flags for me that something is brewing in my soul that I really need to work on, and deal with. The second set of questions involve your physical and emotional triggers. And this can really be anything for anyone, from being tired or bored or hungry or angry or sick or pressured or poor time management or eating habits. It could really be anything. For me, what I was experiencing was feeling unsupported, feeling like my life was unstable. I was also experiencing what's called an anniversary trauma, where it's been a year since we experienced some really difficult loss and our move to a new state. And I think my emotions were revisiting that. I also have a toddler who's teething and just kind of cranky, and it can just set me off. So those are some of my physical and emotional triggers currently. And again, the important thing is to start to recognize what might be your triggers. What are the things that you respond to in stress. What are the visuals? What are the memories? What are the circumstances that are stress-inducing for you? Okay, so then on the back side, there's a few areas that we want to evaluate and look more deeply into, and those are the quality of your life in the areas of 1, rest and relaxation. So I started to think about, well, I don't feel rested and I don't have any relaxation, and those are important to any well-rounded human existence. And so I'd like to find ways to have more rest and maybe find ways to relax more in my day. So what I did was I started going to bed at 9 at night, which is an hour earlier than normal. But getting that extra hour of sleep really helped me this week. I also picked up a book at the library just for pleasure reading. There's something about a tangible book that really helps me relax. It's not the same reading on my phone, but having a book, I can pick it up in the middle of all the things going on in my living room and just zone out for a bit, and it's really restful. The second area we want to evaluate is the quality of our work. So for me, I started realizing, well, I hate my work as a stay-at-home mom and homeschooler. I've been really complaining about it, and I have a really big, long, fat storyline that I rehearse in my head of how it's not fair, or all the work I do that goes unappreciated. It's really a Cinderella story, but like the poor Cinderella part, you know. And that's a warning that something is off. Would you even believe that that was my 8-year-old coming in with a black eye with a herd of neighborhood boys in his wake? It's just one of those days. I think I'd like to blame this on the pending solar eclipse. I don't know. Okay, so we were talking about work and the quality of work and how I've been feeling really grumbly about it with this storyline of how I'm a victim and overworked and underappreciated. And that sentiment in and of itself has become a warning to me also that something else is going on. It's really just a storyline. The truth is, I'm very supported by my loved ones, and I have a very lovely life, and I have a lot of privileges. But when I start feeling like I'm restricted and that I'm imprisoned by it, there's something else going on. The next area we consider is our self-care. And that's all of the things that go into taking care of your body and your emotions. And so when I'm in these patterns of stress, I can very easily stop taking care of myself, like I mentioned, eating poorly or forgetting to eat or overeating, skipping out on exercise or even over-exercising as a way to distract myself. There's a ton of things. For me, what I thought is exercising does help me. Cardio does help me release some tension. And I was having a hard time figuring out when to get that in my day since we've started homeschooling. So one of the things I tried was going early in the morning. And wow, did that work. I mean, it's not pretty getting up that early, and I don't really enjoy it until I'm at the gym. But it really sets the mood for the morning, and I'm far more pleasant. So that's something I tried by way of self-care. And then the last area is our spiritual life. And so what I was noticing is that I'm doing a whole lot of complaining at God. Actually, I've been feeling really mad at him, like he's just not fair, and what he's given me isn't fair, and my particular limitations in life, in the season of life, aren't fair, and I don't like them, and I don't want them. I've also been having this storyline in my head of God not being safe since we've experienced some loss that really kind of rocked my world. I've had this tension or vigilance of, is God safe? So there's a lot going on in my spiritual life. So those are 5 areas that when you're in stress, they're helpful to evaluate and to ask God, what else might be going on in these areas? And then there's a list of considerations, and we're just going to walk through these quickly. First, ask God and others for help. And this is something that I did this week in the form of journaling in the morning, praying at night, and just asking God for what I want, even if it sounds ridiculous or crazy or petty or whatever. I've also asked others for help. I have a support group that meets via our text chat group. And so I told them what I've been walking through and what I might try, and they've been a source of support for me. I also confided in a trusted friend who's also a very wise mentor, and she offered a very specific skill and talent for me that helped me uncover a root of bitterness and disappointment that was looming beneath the surface that I didn't know was there. But once it came out, it was pretty clear that I've been like in that flight pattern for a few days. The next thing is to brainstorm what you might try differently. So in this part, this is where you start to get creative, and you don't rule anything out. It's a think tank, and you're just brainstorming what might work to alleviate the stress or come up with a more creative solution. And it can be anything. So for me, it became, can I put the kids in school? Would that help me? Do I want that? Would that be good for the kids? Can I hire babysitters for the type of support I need? Do we have the funds to do that? Do I need to change my workout regime or some other type of physical outlet that would help me with my stress? The next thing is learn to say no cordially. And so I go more into that in my blog, and you can find it there. The other consideration is that you really only have so much time and energy. And I don't always like that truth, but it is a truth we can't get around. We are limited. And I am learning more and more the importance of having razor-sharp focus with my time and energy, using it the best I know how, and being able to course correct when things are getting hairy. The next consideration is do the math, M.A.T.H., which stands for money, ability, time, and health. And this concept is also on my blog. It's not an original thought. It comes from a dear friend and mentor, and it has guided my family and many others tremendously. Next is focus on just one thing a week. As I'm going through this worksheet and I can look at all of these areas that feel unsatisfactory to me, it's easy to feel like I'm just going to overhaul everything. It's like the people who are going to start clean eating and they throw out everything in their kitchen. Well, that's like 100% change. You really want to go with like a 5% change. So what's one thing you can change this week? Just one thing. So for me, what I decided was I'm going to focus on gratitude. I want to counteract my grumbling with gratitude. And I have a very specific way I guide myself into gratitude in prayer. And I'm going to share that in a future video and also on the blog. But for now, that was my just one thing. And I can tell you, it really, really helped dispel the gloom of my imprisonment in complaining. So anyways, I hope that some of this is helpful for you as you navigate your life and your stressors. And I would love to hear how this works for you. Good luck, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. There goes the plate that's supposed to suction to the tray.